status. It's not a secret that the very first people in this land were black people. That's not a secret. You can look on the cover of Scientific American and it says the oldest Americans, and they've already done all of the archaeological and anthropological research and osteological research to show that the very first human beings in this country were black people. That's not the argument. The argument is that in this movement, spearheaded by people like the Honorable Marcus Garvey, the Dr. John Henry Clark, the Dr. Ben, so forth and so on, what we're talking about is an essentialist movement. An essentialist movement dealing with things, I think it was yourself, or one of you a moment ago was speaking about being original, right? So if you're going to get caught up in a paradigm of being original, being the first in this land does not mean that we are original to this land. Don't confuse the arguments, because if you confuse the arguments, then you're going to confuse everything. You're going to be lost. Your compass, your GPS compass is going to be way off. So the point I'm making is this. It doesn't matter if you're talking about the Arapaho, the Winnebago Sioux, the Cheyenne, Romanoes, any of those people. I'm very well acquainted with those people. And I'm well acquainted with the people that came before them in this land. The pyramid builders, the mound builders throughout Mississippi, so I'm whichever ones you want to name. The Seminole, the Black, doesn't matter which ones you name. The point that I'm making is that even those people came from someplace else before they was here. So don't come at me with that we are original to this land, because that's some bullshit. We are the first people in this land, but we're not original to this land. We are original to that continent over there, Africa. Africa. Don't ever get it twisted, because I will be the first one to set you straight. Doesn't matter who it is, because facts don't lie. 2 + 2 is 4, no matter where you standing at, unless you in a quantum physics universe. Then 2 + 2 might equal something different. But as long as we're dealing here on the plane structure, right? As long as we're dealing here on the plane structure, no matter what people that you find in this land, because there are no bones ever found anywhere in this land that date back to Homo erectus, Homo habilis, Australopithecus. All of those bone sequences are found only in Africa, Olduvai Gorge and further south. So if you're dealing with an essentialist movement and we're talking about original, you got to deal with that continent. You got to deal with that continent. And for all of the fools, and I'm going to really check you right now. For all of the fools that keep talking about the name Africa came from Africanus, the Roman, Dr. Ben has said 8,000 times you need to go back to the basics. And I keep telling you people, stop with all of these new so-called scholars, because they don't have their basics down. Dr. Ben said 100,000 times, and he called you fools because you don't do research. The name predates Roman Africanus, whatever they call themselves, Separicus, whatever his name was. It was that area became a Roman province. But the reason why the name Africa became attached to his name is because the place of the name that you conquered became attached to your name. It was called that before he conquered it. So stop talking stupid shit. We are Africans. Period. Now, if you want to get rid of the American, I got no problem with that. If you want, I got a tattoo on my shoulder right here. If I say it, I mean it. 100% African, Nubian, and black. It's right there on my shoulder. So I never look in the mirror and get confused or get it twisted, or let somebody come up to me and tell me that I'm original to this land. I am not original to this land. I'm original to that land below the equator. You understand? You can pick apart any part you want. My mother lives in Ghana. I got family in Sierra Leone. I speak most of the languages from that region. So I have no problem with that. I have no problem with any of it, but I'm an African. You are an African. I'm not buying into the falsehood that we all came over here on slave ships. We all know that's game. We know that's game. That's game. We were here long before they got here. You want to call us Moors, you want to call us Washington, you call it whatever you want. We were here. But we were everywhere before they got here. It doesn't matter what part of the planet you name. We were everywhere. That's not a secret. And whatever mutations we went through to become something else, then that's what it was. If you ask me, these days I'm starting to think that these crackers don't come from us. I'm really thinking they came from someplace else. Because, I'm going to tell you why. Because there's a large movement amongst white people that are saying that. There's a comedian, one of my favorite comedians, a white boy. His name is Louis C.K. And you know it. Louis C.K. has a whole segment. Now, he's joking as if he's a white Richard Pryor on stage, but he says, you ever look at white people? We act like we don't come from this planet. And then he goes through and describes detail by detail why he says that. Yeah, Louis C.K. Yeah, oh, they don't like him anymore after that because that part became too popular. For 5 minutes, he was the hottest white comedian in the world. Every talk show host wanted him on their show. From you name it, they all wanted him on their show. But after he did Saturday Night Live and went into that whole white people from another planet schism, he done. He done. He done. But he's not the only one. There's a German, there's a German white man. He's got a 3-part thing called white people are not from or white people are not human beings, or white people are not from planet Earth. But then he wants, and his whole thing is he wants to make an apology to black people for the way white people have treated. But he says, I'm going to tell you the truth. This is what, that's not me. This is what the white man says. He said, and I don't believe in hearsay, but I think the dialogue is interesting. Right, yeah. He says, look, black people in America, white people are not going to tell you this, but we know that we are not from this planet. We communicate in ways we will never tell you about, but we know it. Now, when he said that, what that brought back to mind to me, because I spend a lot of time around white people, and I'm not afraid or saying this don't change. I do business. I'm a businessman. You understand what I'm saying? I do business. I can't do business with just people that look at me. I live on planet Earth. You understand? You understand what I'm saying? This is my little brother. He can me anytime he wants. All right? He can me anytime he wants. But the point I'm making, though, when that white guy said that, it made me think about all of the strange. I'm gonna show you something. This is what made me think it's real. You know how when you and me shake hands, it's just a real natural thing. Like we just go, "What up, fam?" We just keep it moving. On everything I own. You ever meet a white boy? You know a lot of them like to mimic us. What up, my nigga? They like to do the head to the back, do-rag, go fronts. Shake their hand and watch how it feels. Shake their hand and watch how it feels. Shake their hand and watch how it feels. It's an unusual vibration. The rhythm, just feel it. It never feels like when you and me shake hands. It just sinks. It's like almost as if it's magnetic. Electromagnetism. Our hands just fall in. You understand what I'm saying? But when you shake their hand, it's like a different polarity. Almost as if their whole electromagnetic structure and field is different from ours. The only way that something like that can occur is if you ain't from here. Either you ain't from here, or either you ain't from here, or we are such polar opposites in the way Sheck Diop and Dr. Leonard Jeffries described us, that polarism thing is just very real. You understand what I'm saying? But getting back to the original subject, man, I'm not saying that white folks come from someplace else. I'm saying that there's an interesting dialogue amongst white people seeking to be honest that is espousing that they came from someplace else and that they're not native to this planet. Which really I find interesting because when I teach in high schools, as I do occasionally, if I ask a classroom full of multiracial children, you have blacks, whites, Asians, Spanish people, every time I ask them this question, I get a strange response. I say, by a show of hands, show me how many people in here believe that black people were on this planet the same way we look right now, Homo sapiens sapien form. How many people, by a show of hands, believe that black people were the only people on this planet for 195,000 years by themselves, with civilization doing everything normal, so on and so on? Do you know what? Everybody's hands in the room goes up except for one group. You know what group that is? It's the black people. We the only ones that don't believe it. White people believe it. The Asian students believe it. The Spanish students believe it. They all believe it. All the black hands go like this. And they just look like they don't know what to do. So what that tells you is that everybody sees us differently from the way we see ourselves. That is very interesting because as a social scientist and I'm walking through the streets every day, I got to deal with people. And people have very strong reactions to me. People have very strong reactions to myself. So I've always had to be a social scientist just to survive. You understand what I'm saying? It didn't matter what environment I was in, and I've been in every kind of environment you can imagine. And I'll name more if you want. Military, prison, you name it. I've been there, done it. But I had this over. I used to manage a strip club. Whatever it is, what it is. Point. I don't approve of it though. I don't approve of it. But point I'm making, you know that I wasn't gonna be where no sisters were being exploited. So the point I'm making. No. So the point I'm making, my little brother, he could get away with it. Yo. So the point I'm making though is that one, we have to be mindful. And it's very. How many people see the movie They Live? Are you serious? You haven't seen the movie They Live? Yeah. Yo, if you have not seen that movie They Live, you gotta see that movie. Because that's our story. That's what we live in right now. We walk through this world and we thinking everything is normal and that everybody sees everything the same. No. No. And I gotta answer one question real quick. Oh, real fast. Let me just answer one question somebody asked me on Facebook. Because I'm getting tired of people saying this. And this is going to really cause some shit and I don't care. Alright? A young lady from Texas, I have a lot of high school students contacting me like it's crazy. She said, can I ask you some questions? You do a video and my principal said it's okay, I'm going to play it for the classroom. I said, no problem. So I'm trying to keep it as clean as possible. But her first question, I thought she was going to ask me something about, I don't know, blackness or just something about Egypt. She asked me two questions. She said, why do they fear us? Right? She said, why do they fear us? And then she asked me, what power do we have? Which I thought was two kind of weird, not weird questions, but just they weren't as succinct as I would have liked them to. But I don't like to give fast food answers. So I said, let me think about it. And I thought about it for about 2 weeks. I know she's wondering why I haven't responded yet. And that's because the answer to her question disturbs me as much as it's going to disturb her and as much as it's going to disturb everybody else. What we have to start doing is we have to dispel the myth and the lie that white people fear us, because it's a lie. They don't fear us. If they feared us, they wouldn't do us like they do us. You understand what I'm saying? They don't fear you. That's the problem. That's the problem. You understand? Police officers don't stop who they fear. They stop who they don't fear. They fear the mob in Little Italy, so they don't stop Italians walking down the street in Little Italy. They even fear the Chinese mob. So they don't stop Chinese people walking down the street in Chinatown. Chinatown got more gangs than any part of New York. But you never hear about them or you see TV shows about them. You know why? Because the call went out to Hollywood back in the mid-'80s. No more, because they did a few movies down in Chinatown about Chinatown gangs. They say, yo, no cameras in here no more with that. No more with that. They put all them Hollywood producers on notice. Do that to the niggas, that not us. Or they call us what they call us, Quilo, black Hakwai, black ghost. That's what they call us, black ghost. All right. So the point I'm making is that they don't fear us. None of them. Not only do they not fear. Look on YouTube. Hold up. Look on YouTube. I want you to see how many videos they have of white women on the subway jumping up in the face of black men. And they're screaming at the top of their lungs saying, I don't fear you. They on it like that. And I'll prove it to you. And hold on. First thing Bruce Lee always said was respect your enemy. You got to respect your enemy. You know why? I live 3 blocks from Central Park. Let me tell you something. When you're dealing with crackers, you're dealing with a warrior race. Don't sleep. Don't sleep. You're dealing with a warrior race. How do I know? I live 3 blocks from Central Park. I run in there every day. How many of us do I see out there running? How many black women? How many black women do I see out there running? We know we the best runners. I'm not saying that we're not. I'm saying as a cultural imperative, they do this. You understand what I'm saying? They do this. So stop with the mythology that white people fear us. They don't. And once you come to that realization that they don't fear us, then you might begin to understand where you got to do a lot more of your work. You understand what I'm saying? Because that fear is important.
Now look, I agree.